Hi, I'm Adam and I'm recording this video on chesswiththecanaric.com. Today we're going to be talking about triangulation. Triangulation is an idea in the endgame where one side moves a piece around, usually their king, in a certain formation in order to waste a turn to reach the same position except with their opponent's turn. The reason it's called triangulation is because usually this formation isn't like a triangle like this. So okay, let's have a look at this position. So the first thing we should notice about this position is that Black's king is ideally placed to stop us from making progress. So Black's king is placed in a way where it defends against the c push and also defends against our king entering the position. So if it were Black's turn, in actuality, Black would have to make a concession here and concede one of these threats. So for example, if Black played king e7, they'd be letting us play c6 and get our pawn down to the end of the board, and this would be very easy. b7, and Black can't stop us from queening. And if instead of king e7, let's say Black went back, now all of a sudden our king has a free path into the position. And eventually, once the king goes to the corner, we could push our c pawn. Bang, bang. Takes. And force the king out from in front of the pawn. b7, and the king will have to move. So, okay. So this is all to say, if it's Black's turn, White wins very easily because Black will be forced to make a move that gets rid of their king's strong defensive position. However, if it's White's turn, then it's not as easy to win. And the reason for this is because our obvious progress-making moves actually don't do a ton here. So the one we need to look at first is pawn to c6, sacrificing the pawn in order to make a passed pawn. However, if Black were to take it, White would be winning actually quite easily, because after king c5, Black king has no longer got any squares where they can defend the pawn from. And after king c8, king c6, king b8, this would actually be winning, as Black's king will be forced to move out from in front of the pawn, and our king could enter, and we would queen on the next turn. So if after c6, Black had to take the pawn, then this wouldn't be a difficult position at all. However, after White plays pawn to c6 check, Black actually isn't obliged to take the pawn. Instead, Black has a very strong move, which is king to c8, where if White were to capture the pawn, then Black's king is optimally placed to stop the pawn, and this would be a draw. And if White pushes the pawn to c7, actually there's no way for us to force Black's king out from in front of the pawn. For example, king d7, king e5, king c8, and if we ever approach it, it will be stalemate. So we can't play a move like c6, as it draws to the above line. So, okay. So here we have to find a way to reach this position with it being Black's move instead of White's move. As we've already covered, if it was Black's move, this would be a very easy win. So because of this, White's going to engage in a strategy called triangulation. So there's lots of winning moves here, but they all have the same idea. So the one we'll look at is king e5, as this is the most forcing move. So first of all, if Black goes king e7, now Black's king is actually too far away from these pawns, and White could very simply push the pawns through and promote, and White would win quite easily. And as we discussed earlier, if Black's king moves backwards, then this allows White's king up into the position, and we would eventually be able to push our c pawn now and win the game. So because of this, Black's only option is king to c6. And at first, it looks like Black has made a lot of progress here. However, after king to d4, now Black actually has very limited choices. So if Black goes king b5, then this is just giving our king an open path into the position, as we will now just run up to the b7 pawn and capture it and queen our b pawn. So if Black goes king b5, this is very easy. So the only other option is king to d7. And now after king d5, we'll find in this position, it's actually Black's turn, and it's the exact same position we started in when it was White's turn. So by going around in this little triangle, White has effectively passed their turn and made it Black's turn. So now again, for the reasons we discussed earlier, this position is totally winning because black is forced to make a concession. So black can go king c8, king d6, king b8, king d7, king a8, c6. And again, this would be quite an easy win. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.